Good evening, Commissioners. Welcome to tonight's meeting. I'd also like to welcome city management, the many department heads and city employees and city staff that have joined us, and also welcome to the members of the public. We will begin the meeting with a word of prayer and then go right into honoring our flags. If you would stand with me, please. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings that you give us each day. Lord, thank you for our wonderful community. We pray that you would continue to bless us and Lord, guide us even this evening as we make decisions concerning our wonderful community. And we pray that you would lead us to be good stewards. And I pray in the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
Join me in honoring our flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Our meeting is called to order. Ms. Reyes, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Levitt? Commissioner Madrid? Commissioner Madrid? Commissioner Casals?
Here.
Commissioner Elliott?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant?
Here.
Commissioner Garza?
Here.
Commissioner Rowley?
Here.
Commissioner Paula?
Here.
Mayor Morris?
Here. Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Appreciate that. Commissioners, next is approval of the agenda. As you've had the opportunity to go over the agenda, do you recommend rearranging or removing anything, or is there a motion to approve?
Mayor, I do have a request
Okay?
on new business under number 5, which is request for approval of $4,698 from lodging tax to pay for the city of Clovis fees for security and sanitation related to 2021 Dragon Main activities. This is a huge event for Clovis, brings in hundreds of people and lots of money. I would like to request we move this to the consent agenda.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, if I may, if that is to happen, the amount has changed and it's now $5,010. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that, Ms. Burrows. So,
And
I can agree with that.
okay.
Sounds good. We can move, as Mayor Pro Tem has suggested, number 5 under new business. We will make it number 16 under the consent agenda. Any other rearrangements?
Make a motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant, second from Commissioner Casals. Commissioners, please vote.
Yes, he will. You can ask Commissioner Madrid.
Yeah, Commissioner Madrid, it looked like he was online with us.
Oh. Has Commissioner Madrid joined us?
Yes, he has.
Okay. Commissioner Madrid, could I have your vote, please?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, and by a vote of 7 in favor, the motion is carried and we have approved tonight's agenda. Thank you. Next is approval of minutes. We have one set of minutes to approve, and they are the minutes of the Thursday, June 3rd, 2021 meeting. Those meetings are in your packet, and you've had a chance to review those. Are there any corrections? Or is there a motion to approve as printed?
So move.
Second.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Casals, second from Commissioner Garza. Commissioners, please vote. And Commissioner Madrid, if I could have your vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. And the vote is unanimous and the motion is carried. Thank you. Next in the agenda is recognition of visitors. And I'd like to just say once again, it's wonderful to see all of you who have joined us this evening, and we look forward to hearing from you when we reach the point in tonight's agenda that you're here for. Commissioners, we'll move on to proclamations, awards, and presentations. And we have one planned presentation there this evening, and it is presentation of Eagles to retired firefighter Steve Garcia, retired battalion chief paramedic Dale Hand, and retired Lieutenant Mike Jewett. And we have Eagles to present to each of you, although firefighter Steve Garcia couldn't be here with us this evening. So could I have Chief Nolan, retired battalion chief paramedic Dale Hand, and retired Lieutenant Mike Jewett meet me down at the podium for the presentation, please.
Y'all aren't gonna do it, are you?
Excuse me, Chief, can we have your photographer over here come this way? You can come this way, get a better shot. We don't want to miss Mr. Hand over there. He's always smiling.
Battalion Chief Dale Hand with 32+ years of service, is that right? Yes, sir. And the eagle here, the inscription says, and we send this to you now, with the heartfelt thanks of a grateful community. Thank you for sharing your time and talent. Thank you very much for all your service. Appreciate you, sir. Very well. Retired Lieutenant Mike Jewett with 38+ years of service. With a heartfelt thanks to the grateful community, thank you for sharing your time and talent. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, before I do leave the podium, I do want to state between Battalion Chief Hand, Lieutenant Mike Jewett, and Firefighter Steve Garcia's time in service is approximately meeting about as much as I have in the department from the lieutenant level down between the three of them, and we do so very much appreciate their hard work. Thank you.
Yes, we do. Thank you. Commissioners, next in the agenda is receipts of petitions and communications. Is there anyone from the public wishing to provide communication to the commission this evening? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward. And we need you to state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Josefita Griego. I live at 232 Torreon Drive here in Clovis. And as we know, city commissioners, we've had a long process the last couple of years of crime increasing. I mean, crime is out there quite a bit. It's getting really hyped up, especially in Helen Casalsa's district, in Fidel's district. I mean, I don't have all the answers of how to do this. I just know that our police force, we need more police. We need a lot more police. We need more detectives. And I think things could get better. The police are working under stress. Detectives are, are under stress. And I had spoke to Chris Bryant, and I had said maybe, I talked to Chris Bryant. He's a great guy. He's in my district. So I had talked to him about maybe offering a bonus, a sign-on bonus to police officers. I don't know where the funding is, but I thought that would be a good idea because we do need police officers. I also thought maybe, you know, with the New Mexico laws, I understand we're losing police officers because of the new laws. But maybe some kind of incentive programs within the police force to help them stay, to want to be here, to want to continue to serve our community. We have a great community. You know, we've been through a lot. We've been through, years ago, Matthew Roberts, the community got together and we worked hard on that. Whenever Cannon was gonna be closed, we got together and worked on that. The library, we all mourned together and we all got together. We all did it together. Now it's time again for us as a community to get together on this. This is a serious issue. And it's just gonna take somebody driving down MLK and, I mean, what if something happens? Then who's liable for that? I mean, it's a serious issue, and I thank the police department for putting guys on the ground there. You know, they've been working hard out there, but there's not enough of them, and it's not fair to them. It's not fair to us, and there's something that we have to do. And we have to really think about as a community. We want to keep our citizens safe. I want to be safe, you know, and my heart goes out to them. They work hard, like I said, and you know, I just think at this time, you know. I don't know what the answers is. I met with a group of people. We all tried to storm ideas on what should be done. And what was brought to the table was maybe some kind of board to a communication between communication between the police force, the public, and you guys. You know, something like any other kind of board you guys have. You know, and it would be somebody from each district the same way. Probably come together to try to work on these issues because you guys don't have all the answers. The police force don't have all the answers. The public doesn't have all the answers. But they do deserve way more. They work hard. And we need to figure out this out because I'm telling you, it's just going to take another day for another homicide, another person shot, you know? And we really, I mean, the community really needs to come together before something tragic happens really bad, even worse than what we're already seeing. And that's about all I have to say tonight.
Well, we appreciate you joining the meeting this evening, and thank you for sharing your mind and your thoughts on this. And we can certainly take all of that under advisement. I have to say I agree with you that our police department, all of the personnel within our PD are doing a great job and working very hard, and I am grateful to them, and they certainly have my support. And again, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
something I'd like to say, you know, I agree wholeheartedly with you that we have got a wonderful police department. We've
Yes,
got
we do.
a bunch of great guys. They put their life on the line
Every day.
I don't know how we'll get more money to do something like this, but something that might help, and we kick this around some, is neighborhood watch, where all the people in the neighborhood could just be looking out for, and if something looks like it might be fixing to happen, notify them.
And I understand that.
Maybe that would help some
Commissioner
to
Elliott.
give them a little bit of
Yes,
help.
but still, if we do, I mean, we do develop neighborhood watch. I think that's a terrific idea. And we've tried it. You guys have tried it, having meetings. I've been to one of the meetings. But we're still lack of police officers.
Absolutely.
And the community could only do so much as a neighborhood watch. And then it's, you know, I mean, they're so behind. I mean, so hard to get a hold of. I mean, some of them, they can't even get to there. They call the person on the phone. Or it takes them a while to get there because they're dealing with something else across town. I mean, it is really sad.
It is.
Well, you know, we're a better community than that, and they deserve better, and we deserve better.
Absolutely.
You know, that's how I feel about it. We need to figure out where to find the money for them. There has to be a way. If there's a will, there's a way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You guys have a great night.
Thank you, Josefita.
And Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners.
Yes.
And just to
Mr. Hall.
give you a quick update, we actually did meet today, Chief Ford and myself and Ms. Burrows and our HR department, as well as Kelsey Knight, to brainstorm on recruiting efforts. And so, yes, our police department is down manpower. And so how can we attract individuals into our police department? And one of the ideas that we talked about is a community recruitment effort. How can the community help us recruit people into our police department? And our local area supports our police department wholeheartedly. They definitely have our support. So put out the good word. Put out the word that, hey, if you want to be a police officer, go to the city of Clovis. It's a great place to work. It's a great organization. Chief Ford and his team do a great job. But get behind them. Get behind them saying, hey, they have openings. They need people. Go see them. So to Mrs. Griego's point, it is a community effort. So recruitment can be a community effort as well. So we are working on it. It's something that we've acknowledged, and we'll keep working on it until we succeed. So we're not throwing in the towel by any means, but once again, so if you know anybody that would like to be a police officer, please send them our way. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for those comments, Mr. Howalt. Since you mentioned that you met today, I'd like to say thank you for having those meetings and those brainstorming sessions and working on new ways. Do you happen to know, or perhaps Chief Ford knows, how many openings do we have within our department at this time?
We're currently down 12 officers
12, okay.
within our department, and so we're going to be reaching out to the universities, to the universities that have criminal justice programs in around our area and surrounding areas, as they have graduates coming out, trying to recruit them in. We'll be in social media, radio, wherever we need to be. We're going to be trying to recruit police officers into our department.
Yeah, appreciate that, and I would agree, and I appreciate Ms. Griego being here, and I truly value the public's input. I know that the other commissioners do as well, and the phrase that's coming to mind is a whole of community approach. I mean, it takes all of us, and we do need to continue to lean into that and look for new ways to address these issues. But I think it's safe to say that this isn't an isolated to Clovis kind of issue. I would imagine that the departments our size and smaller and larger all over the state and country are having these same types of discussions. And so I guess I would just remind us all of that. It isn't a problem that's unique or specific to Clovis, but it is all of our problem, and we all need to work on it. So thank you for that. Anything else?
Mayor, can I make a comment right quick? Commissioner Elliott was mentioning the Neighborhood Watch Program, and of course in District 4 we did that, and it was very successful. But I would like to see us put together a community-wide Neighborhood Watch Program, not by districts, but by the community. And, give everybody the opportunity to maybe do a Neighborhood Watch Program in their neighborhoods. So I think that's something we need to possibly work on as well. I liked his suggestion, and I think it's something we need to continue to work towards.
And Commissioner Bryant, and that is something that we did. We had kicked off again. We had our first community meeting at Kingswood Methodist Church, and started to discuss community watch and neighborhood watch, and how it's actually a neighborhood-led activity. And so trying to educate the public on what it takes to start a community or a neighborhood watch program. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, and everything slowed down at that point. But in our meeting today, it is something else that we discussed, saying, hey, all these ideas that we had leading into the pandemic, we're going to start kicking those back out again, to where we start opening up those lines of communication and getting the community involved with our police department. So that's something that we will definitely be circling back around to again. So, yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Mayor,
Thanks for that. Yes, Commissioner Casals.
will that include the Citizen Police Academy also, Chief?
We were definitely looking at the Citizen Police Academy as well again.
I think if the citizens get involved, that goes a long ways. And I encourage the citizens to attend the Police Academy program. I think that is excellent.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, thank you. Yes, these were things we discussed. These were all things, as we all know, unfortunately, with COVID. A lot of the programs that were beginning to get brought forward again, and there were plans in the works to get all that going forward, and then the pandemic hit, and it just threw the brakes on everything because we couldn't do any of those things. We were doing the coffee with a cop. We're gonna start bringing that back again, where people can come talk to us if they've got concerns. They can come and talk with us at those venues. So these are all things that we're definitely gonna be bringing back now that we're starting to be able to get back open again and get all those programs going forward again. So fortunately, the pandemic's really been hard on all of us, and it's affected a lot of things with operations and the daily activities that we normally would do that we haven't been able to do. So we'll definitely move forward with those.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
and Chief Ford,
Yes, sir.
you know, these larger cities, having so much problem and so many policemen are resigning, moving out. Is there any way we can reach out to those that, hey, Clovis, New Mexico would love to have you here, and we're not defunding police, we're hiring police. Is
Yeah, it's
there
funny,
any
it's
way
funny
to
you say
get-
that, because we talked about that, and that is definitely something that, we would definitely make sure they're aware of and know that we are a law enforcement friendly community, and that our citizens do want us here, and they do appreciate what we do, and we do here every day, and I do appreciate our citizens for that, because there doesn't a week go by that I know either some of my personnel or me in particular will get stopped by somebody and thank us for what we do and appreciate for what we do, and appreciate everything that's going on. So, you know, the guys and gals at the department do know that we are very much appreciated, and we are in a good area, and we are in an area that does appreciate public safety and law enforcement, both us and fire and everybody else, and that does mean a lot to them. It does. Even with everything going on, you know, we do make sure they realize it, and they do, and they see it every day.
We appreciate you all.
Well, thank
all
you.
of
We appreciate it, definitely.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, is there anyone else from the public that wishes to bring anything before the commission this evening? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and address for the record, and
Karen
we'll give you the
Carpenter,
floor.
128 Kimberly Lane. And I just kind of want to segue off what she was saying, but I come from a little bit different background because my son is one of those people that can't obey the law. But what's happening is we call the police, they come out, they're amazing. They give us every option. It goes no further than that. That's your problem. It's probation. It's the district attorney. He's in jail now for armed robbery. He's been in jail for disarming a police officer. No convictions. It's tough to have a child that you know is going to kill one of them or kill one of you. I've emailed the DA. What happened in this building could very well have been my son. And I'm telling you guys, probation sent him to Portales for 2 weeks and paid for a hotel. He hasn't had a job since he's been on probation, but he's never been rearrested. There's a problem past the police. And he's in jail for armed robbery now. And what they do, I feel so bad for the police. My husband's been a police officer for 30 years. Imagine my plight in this city. Not now, but he was. I don't want somebody that he's known to be killed by my son. And that's where we're heading, I'm telling you. He took an officer's gun away. Please, please, I'm begging you. I want him locked up. That's what I want him. And here's a little bit more. We got him as a foster child when he was 3 years old and he weighed 14 pounds. 14 pounds. Traumatic brain injury. This kid doesn't know what's right and wrong. But you got to do something with these kids. There's 15 others out in this community, I promise you. They're capable of doing the library thing again. When it happened, I said, oh my God, please don't let that be my son. And if you ask any of those officers who my son is, they all know him. They know him. He's 6'3", and he's gonna hurt somebody. And I just beg you to pay attention to that. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else wishing to bring something before the commission this evening? Commissioners, we will, I just wanted to say thanks again for being here and bringing your concerns and thoughts before the commission this evening. We do appreciate that. Commissioners, we'll move on to the consent agenda. As you know, this item is placed on the agenda so that the commission by unanimous consent can designate those routine agenda items that they wish to approve or acknowledge by one motion. If any proposal does not meet with the approval of all commission members, or if a citizen so requests, it will be heard when reached under the regular agenda. After the one rearrangement before approving tonight's agenda, or after doing that, we now have 17 items on the consent agenda this evening. The first is the motion to place. The 17th is the motion to approve or acknowledge. I will read 2 through 16. Item 2, request for approval of adoption of ordinance number 2148-2021, authorizing the execution and delivery of a loan agreement and intercept agreement by and between the City of Clovis, New Mexico, the governmental unit, and the New Mexico Finance Authority, the finance authority, evidencing a special limited obligation of the governmental unit to pay a principal amount of $3,250,000 together with interest thereon for the purpose of financing, 1, acquiring, constructing, reconstructing, resurfacing, maintaining, repairing, or otherwise improving municipal streets, including storm drainage and sanitary sewer projects directly related to a street project or any combination of the foregoing. 2, paying a loan processing fee. And 3, funding a loan agreement reserve account, providing for the payment of the principal and interest due under the loan agreement solely from the distributions of the revenues received by the governmental unit pursuant to Section 7-1-6.4 NMSA 1978, the state shared gross receipts tax, providing for the distributions of the revenues of the state shared gross receipts tax from the State Taxation and Revenue Department to be redirected to the Finance Authority or its assigns pursuant to the intercept agreement for the payment of principal and interest due on the loan agreement, ratifying actions heretofore taken, repealing all action inconsistent with this ordinance, and authorizing the taking of other actions in connection with the execution and delivery of the loan agreement and intercept agreement. Item 3, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3067-2021, declaring the eligibility and intent of the City of Clovis to submit an application to the New Mexico Department of Transportation for the Recreational Trails Program. Item 4, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3068-2021, declaring the eligibility and intent of the City of Clovis to submit an application to the New Mexico Department of Transportation Alternatives Program. Item 5, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3069-2020, quarterly DFA budget changes. Item 6, request for approval of contract renewal with Capital Consultants LLC for fiscal year 2021-2022. Item 7, request for approval of scope and fee with Leidick Engineers and Surveyors for construction phase services for the 7th Street and Thornton Street intersection. Item 8, request for approval of management agreement between the City of Clovis and Global Spectrum LP, doing business as Spectra Venture Management. Item 9, request for approval of E911 grant agreement for fiscal year 2022. Item 10, request for approval of loan agreement between the City of Clovis and the New Mexico Finance Authority in the amount of $3,250,000. Item 11, request for approval of intercept agreement between the New Mexico Finance Authority and the City of Clovis for the $3,250,000 intercept schedule. Item 12, request for approval of shooting range change orders 4 through 9 with Duke City Builders. Item 13, request for approval to apply for $6 million in congressional designated funding for Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard Road Project between 7th Street and 21st Street. Item 14, request for approval to apply for $800,000 in congressionally directed funding for the Lyceum Theater and accept funding if successful. Item 15, request for approval to award ITB 21-0105-01 Clovis Regional Airport Perimeter Fencing to L&J Construction Incorporated. Item 16 is request for approval for
$5,010.
$5,010 from lodging tax to pay for the City of Clovis fees for security and sanitation related to 2021 Dragon Main activities. Commissioners, unless you have questions or concerns, I would entertain a motion to place the indicated items on the consent agenda by unanimous vote.
I
So
move for
move.
approval. Second.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Casals, second from Commissioner Garza. Commissioners, please vote. And Commissioner Madrid, if I could have your vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner.
His sound system, it sounds so good. It sounds like he's right behind the door there. Can somebody check on that, please?
And the vote is unanimous, and the items have been placed on the consent agenda. I would now entertain a motion to approve or acknowledge all items on the consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Garza, second from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Commissioners, please vote. And Commissioner Madrid, if I could have your vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Madrid. By a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried, and that enormous consent agenda has been approved.
I just wanted to make a comment to Tom and Derek. I have been volunteering this week with Ernie at the chamber, and I have noticed there's cars here from all over the country. We met men from Arizona, from Louisiana, from Texas, from Colorado, and they've been here all week. So that is a big economy impact in Clovis, and I really appreciate all the hard work.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you. Wanted to mention that in attendance tonight are Tom Moore and Derek Cockrell, and I think Tom Moore is chairman of Dragon Main, president, leader, something. They both work very hard on that. Thank you, gentlemen, for the event and for being here this evening. Yeah, appreciate that. Commissioners, we'll move on in the agenda to introduction and adoption of resolutions and ordinances. 5 items there this evening. First is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3065-2021 Metropolitan Redevelopment Area for redevelopment areas 1 and 2. And in person this evening is Miss Jackie Fishman, who has helped us a great deal over the last year or so in developing the MRA plan. And Ms. Fishman, it's great to see you here.
It is great to be here. It's going to take me just a moment to get this set up. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. It's great to be here again in person. There's nothing like seeing everybody, face to face instead of on Zoom. So very happy to be here tonight. With me tonight also is Shar Johnson, who helped me on the MRA plan. She's a planner in my office. She also worked with me on the city's comprehensive plan in 2018. So she's a big part of what we've been doing here. I'm not sure who's in control of the slides. Okay, so if we could move forward. Okay, so I've got my notes in front of me and the slide up there, so I'll try to coordinate this. So as you probably all know, the evolution of how we got to where we are today When we did the city's comprehensive plan in 2018, we did a very detailed existing land use survey and housing conditions, and it was during that process that we noted the existing physical conditions in the area that is now MRA 1 and MRA 2. We identified those in the comprehensive plan on the future land use scenario map, and recommended that the city adopt those two areas as metropolitan redevelopment areas, and then go on further to do a MRA plan, and that's what we're presenting tonight before you. So the plan looks like this. It's a pretty complete document. Hopefully you've all seen it and have had a chance to go through it. The first section of the plan is the executive summary. Of course, it includes descriptions of the MRA process, the New Mexico Metropolitan Redevelopment Code, and then the city's designations of the two areas. We also summarized the community engagement process. We had a really good steering committee that we worked with, including you, Mr. Mayor, which was great. We don't always have that opportunity to work with people who are really engaged in your community, so that was a really positive aspect to this process. We also did a lot of surveying, and I'll go into a little more detail about that. But we did 6 different community surveys. They were one for residents, one for business owners, and the other for the general public. And then we did in English and Spanish. And that was a first. So facilitating 6 surveys in different languages was, a challenge to us. But I think it was really well worth the effort, because we did have people that responded in both English and Spanish. We also, the executive summary goes through the SWOT analysis that we did with the committee and at the town hall, and asset mapping, and I'll go into that in a little more detail, and then the potential opportunity sites, and I'll go into more detail on that as well. If you can go forward. Okay, so this slide just shows the surveys. I think it was a total of 288 surveys were completed. Like I said, they were both in English and Spanish. We got some really good results from those surveys, and a lot of what people said in the surveys, there were opportunities for people to actually write comments. We incorporated as much as we could into the plan from those survey results. The surveys ran between August 10th and September 28th of 2020. And what we learned, again, just a couple little things from the survey. These are really low-income households. So when we started the process, we said, well, how come people aren't fixing up their homes? There's a lot of issues, physical conditions that people are dealing with. Well, they really don't have the funding to do so. So I would characterize the housing conditions in these areas as dire. They're really some of the worst that I've seen. We also had business owners, again, that responded to the survey. And what we found was most of the business owners have been in their locations for more than 10 years. So it was a good process, and we really got a lot out of it. If you can move forward. The SWOT analysis, this is just the notes that we took during the SWOT analysis. Again, this is presented in the plan, and it really highlights, again, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that we tried to address in our recommendations in the plan. And you can move forward again. The plan has a set of 7, I think there's 7 goals. I can read them to you if you can't see the screen. Goal number 1, create residential neighborhoods that are safe, well-maintained, and become a source of pride for the residents that live there. Number 2 is address unsafe building conditions within the MRA districts. There are a lot of those through the demolition and repurposing of vacant, abandoned, and dilapidated buildings. I noticed on your agenda tonight that you're doing some of that already, which is great news. Goal number 3, engage with housing providers to help diversify and increase the housing stock in the MRA districts with units that are affordable to households at 60% or below of the average median income in Curry County. Okay, you can move forward again. The next goals, utilize the funding mechanisms available to the city to help recruit businesses willing to expand or relocate within the MRA districts, and also prioritize hiring local residents. Goal number 5, increase the safety and mobility in the MRA districts by systematically improving overall street conditions, installing sidewalks, handicap ramps, and pedestrian crosswalks. Again, the sidewalks are almost non-existent in the MRA districts. The street conditions are really pretty bad, and there's really almost no handicap ramps other than on the NMDOT facility. Goal number 6, create new neighborhood parks that are easily accessed by residents and address their need for green space. And lastly, number 7, address the land use conflicts that have occurred within the MRA districts and have led to unsafe housing conditions and neighborhood instability. You can move forward again. Okay, so Chapter 2 is existing conditions and the asset inventory. We highlight assets such as Lincoln Jackson School, La Casita Elementary, Roy Walker Rec Center, Norman Petty Recording Studios, and so on. There's a number of really positive assets in the area. We also look at the broader community, including Cannon Air Force Base, softball tournaments, community events. Those are things that we summarized in the document. We also have a short history of Clovis. We summarize the goals, objectives, and strategies from the 2018 comprehensive plan. That's in there. We also looked at existing land use. We took a long time to, existing land use is a snapshot in time. We have found, even in these areas, that sometimes what was there 6 months ago is not what is there today. And I noticed that on my way in this evening. So we have existing land use, we have existing zoning, the figure ground analysis, and that's the difference between where the buildings sit and where the lots are. So we look at, that's a way of looking at land utilization. We also have a pretty extensive summary of existing infrastructure conditions. So we looked at some of the documents that CDM Smith did for the city, and we summarized those. There's a lot of issues with water and wastewater service in these areas. Those are pretty dire conditions as well. Okay. Okay, and then our next chapter is the market analysis and the city's organizational capacity. We did something a little bit unusual. We did a demographic analysis of each of the areas, and then we compared it to the remainder of Clovis. So we really wanted to see what were the conditions from a demographic standpoint, from a household income standpoint, in these areas compared to the rest of the city. And, we learned, one, the median age in the areas is younger than the rest of the city. The household income is way low, really, really low. I believe it was over 30% of the households have a average median household of less than 15,000 a year. So that's really some low-income households. I'm gonna keep moving here. Okay. Also, we found that we have a high rate of large households here, not surprising. And the census defines large households as 5 or more people in a household. We also have a high rate of vacant housing. In MRA 1, it looks like we had 15%, MRA 2, 17%, which is about double of what the rest of the city of Clovis is at, which is about 8%. Median home value, again, not surprisingly, we have very low home values. We also talked to a couple of the realtors in town, Gayla and another gentleman, and they gave us some of this information as well. Okay. We also did, let's see. We also did I'm sorry, could you go back one? Okay, I'm off the slide, sorry about that. Okay, go ahead. And then go ahead again. Okay, so organizational capacity, we looked at your community groups that would be available to partner in these areas. The Chamber, obviously, the Industrial Development Corporation, the Clovis Economic Incentive Board, the Small Business Development Center. Those are some really good organizations that I think would be helpful in trying to reverse some of the trends in these areas. We also summarized what we called municipal capacity, your existing LEDA ordinance, which is a really powerful economic development tool, the Clovis Economic Development Tax, your current grant coordinators. These are things that not every community in New Mexico has. I work all over the state, and Clovis really is very good about, having all these boards and structures and all of that. Also, the Retail Strategies Group that is looking at trying to bring more retail development to Clovis. I think Clovis proper and also this area. And then more recently, we added the 2021 amendment that I think you adopted pretty recently to the Property Maintenance Code. So that's all summarized in the document. Okay, you could go forward. Okay, so this section, Chapter 4, really starts our recommendations, and some of this has been a little bit of a moving target. You could call almost all of this area an opportunity because there are a lot of vacant land, there's a lot of vacant and abandoned buildings. We tried to pick certain properties that we thought would be good examples of how they could be developed. Opportunity site number 1 was on 7th Street, and we recently learned that a car lot is going to be developed there. So we moved it to a new location, and then on my way in tonight, I saw that there's a new house there. That wasn't on Google Earth when Ms. Burrows and I tried to pick a new site. So we're going to pick yet another site for that, because that was the concept that we had, a restaurant with an outdoor patio and then the roll-up garage doors. And I think that's certainly a good concept for the area. We had a lot of people that identified new restaurants, grocery stores, food establishments that were a priority for them. So this map shows the 4 opportunity sites in MRA 1. If you can move forward. This is MRA2, and that shows we had actually there are 7 sites. Opportunity site number 6 also was recently purchased, and that was the old Allsups at Prince Street, right at the corner there. So we have removed that from the plan. It's still on this map, but it is removed from the plan. So MRA District 2 has 7 sites, not 8. And then if we can move forward again. So these next slides just show the location for the opportunity sites. And again, what we tried to do is show different types of development. So it's not that these concepts are set in stone, but we feel like, you know, that old saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words. It shows you what could fit on the site. Doesn't mean this is exactly what's going to be developed here. So this site is, again, it's going to have to move. We showed it originally on 7th Street, then we moved it to Grand and West. Now there's a house there, so we're going to be moving it again. I'll work with Claire and to figure out where would be a good place for it. But the idea is still valid. It shows a restaurant, again, outdoor seating, you know, obviously trying to activate the outdoors and indoors. So I think that would be a positive kind of development. If you can move forward again. Our next site is MRA 1, site number 2. We tried to find a small site for a neighborhood park. That was something, again, if you recall, in our surveys, people said we really need some green space, some park space. This is a small site. It's at Grand and Merriweather. It's a ½ acre. My staff did this concept. It has a turf area in the center, nice trees, and you know, a walking path, a shade structure, some benches. Not real elaborate. We also showed an area that we thought would be good for a mural in the back, because we want to have, if this ever were to be developed like that, you'd want to have some separation between the park and the persons who live next door. And that wall would be a nice canvas for a mural. Can move forward again. Our next site, probably one of my favorites, because I think it would have a really tremendous impact to the area. Having a neighborhood store, a grocery store. This is approximately about 16,000 square feet, which is a decent-sized store. It's at the corner of Grand and Jones. It's about 3/4 of an acre. It's zoned commercial. I'm sorry, it's about 12,000 square feet, but it's still a decent-sized store. The store faces Grand. We have the parking in the front and along the Jones Street side. We've got access shown. And again, I think this would be, if you could, you know, somehow incentivize somebody, a developer, to put in a grocery store there, I think it would have a tremendous impact. So if we can go forward again. This is also one of my favorite sites. It's at the at the northwest corner of 2nd and West Street. It's acre in size. It's zone commercial, but it's really being used for industrial purposes. To me, it's a nuisance property. It's really bad. It smells really bad. Staff has told us recently that they couldn't find any evidence of a business permit being operated out of there. So we thought it would be a positive site for redevelopment, and we showed a townhouse concept, and there's 18 units in there. They are all separated by their garages, which would have the opportunity either to have an apartment above the garage, or a office, or another bedroom, or what have you. It's a real efficient way of developing, townhouses, and then by separating the actual unit from the garage, everybody has a little backyard. So I thought that was a really special concept, and hoping we can get somebody that's interested in doing something like that. If you can go forward again. Okay, so this one is in MRA 2. It's our site number 1. Also, we tried to find a place that would be appropriate for multifamily, for the lower income people. In my mind, this would be an appropriate site for a low-income housing tax credit project, which are being done all over the state of New Mexico. I know that there has been some projects here in Clovis as well. This is 3 lots. It's a total of 5 acres in size. The lot along 7th Street is vacant. It's zoned residential. And then the 2 lots to the south, and you can see it on the aerial, are zoned commercial, and they have vacant buildings. So we show a consolidation of the 3 lots. We show a number of apartment units, associated parking. We also included a community building because these kind of projects typically have that. We have a children's play area. We also put a small retail space on the corner of 7th and Ash, thinking that that would be a good location for that. And I know I'm involved in a lot of projects like this in Albuquerque, where they might put a small coffee shop or a snack shop or something there to make a little bit more of a mixed-use project. This does require vacation of one of the streets, I think it's 6th Street. And it's really not being used, so it seems like a really good opportunity to get a decent size property and have a project like this. So go ahead. Okay, our next site, it's at 2nd and Johnson. It's 5 separate vacant lots. They're each a little under an acre. They're owned by 3 different entities. A lot of these sites, too, I should have mentioned, are, some of them are owned locally, but most of them are owned by people from out of state. Some of them are owned by trusts, and so they don't seem like they're properties where people are like ready to invest in them. So I think, that was one of the ways we picked some of these sites out. We show, this concept shows 2 multi-tenant office warehouse buildings. We showed it being divided up into smaller and larger spaces. This is based on a project that I've worked on, and it would allow, again, office towards the Johnson Street side, and then the warehousing part towards the back side of the building. And so you could develop it with roll-up doors. It could be divided either into 2 large buildings, or I think 13 separate buildings. We tried to show different sizes, and I think that would be a good place. It's got the right zoning for it, and would provide some jobs within the MRA districts. So let's move on. Okay, our next site is site number 3. It's at 1st and Johnson. These are 2 vacant lots. It's about 3.5 acres in size. Again, also zoned commercial. We're showing a series of different storage facilities. 1 large indoor storage building, 3 other buildings that would accommodate customers with variety of different storage needs. Those are the smaller buildings to the right on the screen. We also show an area for RV storage. That's something that we see a lot in our metro area, and something that people are looking for. So we wanted to include all those different types of storage type uses in this concept, and show that it could fit on this site. And we move forward again. Okay, so this site, it's on Tennessee, it's north of Mabry. It currently contains a small house on the north, but it's mostly vacant, it's zoned commercial. It's a little bit more than half acre in size, and it's owned by somebody from out of state. So we think that this would be a good opportunity. We wanted to show a concept with office. And, you know, we called it a medical office. It could be a vet office. It could be any type of office. But we thought that that was a good location for it. Office uses are from land use planning standpoint, is a good transition between heavier commercial to residential. So we thought that that was a good location. We think it, you know, if a medical office of some sort would go there, it would address some of the mobility issues of the people in the MRA districts. It would be close by. But again, it could probably fit a variety of different types of office uses. So let's keep moving. Our opportunity site number 5. This is the old hotel that was recently torn down at Mabry in Tennessee. It's only about 0.6 of an acre. It's owned by an out-of-state trust. Again, the old motel, we think it was, demolished in April. So we showed this as redevelopment as a drive-through restaurant. The people that took our surveys did identify sit-down and drive-through restaurants as something that they wanted in their area. So we thought that was a good place for it because, well, there's other restaurants on, you know, in either direction from there, and you have really good access, and so we thought that was a good location for it. Okay, our next one. Okay, this is the area that's been changing in the last few months. This is opportunity site number 6. It's at First and Ross. It's a vacant gas station. It's about a half acre in size. It's also zoned commercial. We showed redevelopment of the site into a multi-tenant retail type building. It could be retail, it could be a small office, a sandwich shop, something like that. It could be a combination of those uses. We show the concept close to First Street, trying to have a nice sort of street feel to it, so it's not just parking along the street. Vehicular access, I think there's a current driveway that's pretty close to the intersection. We took that out and tried to move it a little bit north of the intersection. That's just good for traffic circulation purposes. So that's, this site had been bigger, but apparently U-Haul purchased the other property to the north of this. They purchased the other property to the east of it, so this is what's left in this location. Okay, the next one. Okay, so, and this is actually opportunity site 7, because we lost one of our sites at the corner. So this is site 7. It is 3 lots. It's a total of about an acre. It's on the north side of First between Gidding and Axtell. We show, there's 2 buildings. You can see it on the slide. We tried to show the redevelopment of one of the buildings at the corner to try to save that building. The other building in this concept would be demolished. Both of the buildings are shown as multi-tenant buildings. They could be retail. We show a couple outdoor patio seating areas. Again, we think that's a nice use of the property. The alley goes through the middle of this, and so this concept shows the vacation of the alley for vehicular access, but it maintains the utility corridor through there. So that's the split between the larger building on the right and the small building on the left. So that's where the utilities go through. You just wouldn't be able to drive through the alley that way, and there's really, it doesn't appear that anybody's really driving through there anyways. So we thought that was a good use of that property. And then if you can move forward again. So I have a very, very talented landscape architect in my office that does these beautiful renderings. This is a rendering of what that concept could look like. And it just, shows a very activated site, people coming in, we love, because we're also landscape architects, all of our concepts have parking lot trees and landscaping and a lot of activity. So those are the pretty pictures of the concept. So if you can move forward again. So beyond the 11 concepts, we also have recommendations in the plan for priority infrastructure improvements. And again, a lot of that was based on some of the studies that have been done for the city of Clovis. But improving fire flow and getting those fire hydrants in the area. What I learned from reading the reports were we have a lot of fire hydrants that are less than, not fire hydrants, we have a lot of water lines that are less than 6 inches in diameter, and you can't connect the fire hydrants to anything less than 6. So to me, that's at the top of the list. That's something that should be addressed as a public health, safety, and welfare issue. We also, obviously, we highlighted a lot of the street conditions and sidewalks and ADA ramps, and that's, to us is a critical need in this area, increasing the walkability of the area and safety for the people that live there especially. The wastewater collection system, again, CDM Smith did that report. What we learned were all the sewer lines in MRA 1 are clay, and 60% of the sewer lines in MRA 2 are clay, and so plus they're at capacity. So that's also a critical public health, safety, and welfare issue that we think should be addressed. And then lastly, we have recommended providing bike lanes, both east-west and north-south in the area. That's something that was identified in the comprehensive plan as a priority. We heard that from the surveys from the MRA process, and so we tried to carry it through to this plan. So we can move forward again. And then we have these action items called, what I call support actions. They aren't necessarily capital improvements, they're mostly administrative. The first one, establishing a Metropolitan Redevelopment Commission. That's something that other cities in New Mexico have done, not all of them, but there are several that I know of. And that would be trying to convene a group of people that would be like developers, bankers, people from the MRAs and others, people that, real estate professionals that know something about development that could provide recommendations to this commission, review responses from developers for that have responded to RFPs for projects where you would be having private developers partner with the city of Clovis, identifying priorities for spending public funds, and so on. So to me, it would provide a good structure to not only these two MRAs, but also the downtown MRA district. So you have 3, and that's, that's a big responsibility. Secondly, acquiring properties for redevelopment. I think the area is ripe for that. The city would just need to prioritize which properties have been abandoned and acquire those properties and bank them and offer them for redevelopment to developers. I mean, that would be the city's contribution to a project. And it's been done in other places in New Mexico, certainly the city of Albuquerque, city of Lovington. If you've been down there, the Drylands Brewery, that was a city-owned parcel that they sold to the developer for $1. And it was a big hit in Lovington and really a positive change for downtown Lovington. So that's an important recommendation. Also, we identified, because we're planners and zoners, we always look at the zoning, and we looked at the Unified Development Ordinance. There are some pretty significant conflicts between the zoning and the existing land use, where if you compare the two sets of maps in the MRA plan, we have the area is zoned mostly commercial and multifamily, and you have mostly single family in there. And I think that is contributing to a little bit of destabilizing the area. So we have a recommendation for looking at that. We also recommend pursuing housing developers. There are several really good ones out there. I work with in the Albuquerque metro that I think would be interested. People like Yes Housing, who have done projects in Clovis. They're private nonprofit, and they are very accustomed to going through the MFA process and securing funding for new housing projects. Also, we talk about allocating and securing housing rehab funds. Rehab is a tremendous issue in the MRAs. So it's not all about just new development, but the people that live there, that have been there for many, many years, they have some really significant rehab issues. So that's a recommendation. Vacating 6th Street for that one multifamily concept that we showed, that would allow it to be a 5-acre site instead of 3 smaller sites. And then lastly, this is something that Ms. Burrows and I added at a late date, but I think there's some good precedent for that. Partnering with Clovis Community College on a housing construction training program. We see that in other places around the country where they're trying to add to affordable housing in their cities, and they partner with the community college on a program like that. So that's in the plan as well. Just a couple more slides. Okay, the last section, implementation and funding. So each of the projects are categorized by either physical, administrative/design, or regulatory. We identify responsible agencies and potential partnerships. We also identify potential funding sources. Some of the big projects obviously would need a lot of funding from different sources. A lot of, the big ones would probably be multi-phased. We also list the projects by priority, high, medium, and low, and then we give timeframes, noting that a simple redevelopment project is going to take a lot shorter time than fixing the sewer lines in the area. So we have several different timelines on that in that section. And then next, I think this is the last slide. We also have a very robust section on project financing and funding sources. We have looked at everything out there that we know of, and we've listed a summary of each of those sources, tried to give some examples of projects in there. And so hopefully this is with an eye towards implementation. Lastly, I just wanted to note that the plan was reviewed by New Mexico Economic Development Department and New Mexico Main Street. They have approved the plan without changes, so we're happy about that. And with that, I would stand for any questions you may have.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Fishman, and you as well, Ms. Johnson. Thank you for being here. It's such an impressive plan.
Thank you.
You know, and the concepts, I just want to do them all immediately, you know, I mean, it's just great. Commissioners, this is the first time I've seen Ms. Fishman in person.
Right.
We worked with her using Zoom meetings and such over the last year or so. And, you know, and this is the result, and it's just very, very impressive in my opinion. Any comments or questions for Ms. Fishman?
Ms. Fishman, I do have a question.
Sure.
Are these MRAs, either one of them, in the federal qualified opportunity zones?
I'm glad you asked that, Commissioner. That is something that we did add to the plan. I forgot to mention it. We added a small map showing the opportunity zone, and MRA 2 is, the entire MRA 2 district is within an opportunity zone.
I think that's a huge marketing point.
Yeah.
If you're not aware of what those are, they offer deferral of eligible tax gains. If you have property that you've sold, you can invest in these qualified opportunity zones and defer your federal income tax. And I'm not an expert in it at all, but the federal government has certain maps. And if you are interested in doing this, you can look up these maps in certain states and towns, and you don't have to be a resident of that area. So, you know, I think that's a positive selling point for MRA 2, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for that, Commissioner Paula. That's a great point. Any other comments or questions?
Great.
Very good. Well, we certainly appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Ms. Fishman, and for coming out and seeing us.
I was just going to say that I had someone from the committee comment that I'm a lot shorter than they thought I was, seeing me now in person, so.
Funny.
Yeah.
Well, we sure appreciate it. Commissioners, we are looking for approval of adoption of this resolution.
I'll move for approval.
Yeah. Motion to approve from Commissioner Garza, second from Commissioner Elliott. Commissioners, please vote. And Commissioner Madrid, may I have your vote, please?
Yes.
Thank you. And by a vote of 7 in favor and none opposed, the motion is carried.
All right.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fishman.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, we're on to item 2 in this section of the agenda, and it is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3070-2021 pertaining to a ruined, damaged, or dilapidated building and authorizing abatement by demolition of such building and related debris within the city of Clovis. And we're talking about 200 Edwards. I don't see our building safety director here. I see Mr. Morris is here, though. Mr. Morris.
I don't see him either, Judge, or Mayor, but I'm happy to fill in and try and present for him. So I haven't physically been to any of these 4 properties, but coincidentally, this follows the MRA resolution. These are the first 4 that we've done with our new amended property maintenance code. And so I think the pictures probably speak for themselves. The first one is 200 Edwards. I'm looking at your commission packet. The legal description is contained in the second page behind the commission action request that has the property owner's name. The owners are Thomas Mabey and Kelly Mabey. And then from the photographs, it appears clear to me, and I know it was clear to building safety, that that structure is ruined, damaged, or dilapidated, and is a menace to the public comfort, health, peace, or safety. As a reminder, the property owner has not been notified at this time. The commission, if it adopts this resolution, I will then provide the resolution and a cover letter to the property owner. The resolution contains a section that I drafted titled Notice to Property Owner, which outlines how they can respond or appeal. And so, with that, again, I haven't visited with Mr. Roach, but I think the pictures speak for themselves, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mr. Morris. I'm glad that we are, taking a look at these properties with the recently passed ordinance. I actually did go out, and I know other commissioners did as well, but I actually did go and look at this one as well as the others that we're going to discuss, and have to agree that this is exactly what we need to be looking at doing and using this ordinance for. Any discussion on this one? 200 Edwards.
No discussion. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Garza. Commissioners, please vote. And Commissioner Madrid, if I could have your vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. And by a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Thank you. On to item 3, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3071-2021 pertaining to a ruined, damaged, or dilapidated building and authorizing abatement by demolition of such building and debris within the city of Clovis. Same explanation. However, I would ask for perhaps some clarification on the address with this one. We're looking at an address or a property over on Mercury, 400 block, and we have 418, but I was confused about the address.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. So this one has actually come before you once as 424 Mercury. And I understand you got a call again from the same individual that has now stated we have the wrong address again, and it's not 418, it's 420 Mercury. I think after talking to Mr. Howalt, it's possible that they may have moved that trailer after the first time that we passed a resolution. But in any event, I think it's okay for the commission, because this is the first step, to amend the resolution and change the address from 418 to 410 to 420 Mercury, just to be safe. The legal description that's contained in the property ID card is correct, and on my cover letter is correct as well. And then I can just amend my cover letter to read both addresses. So I'm not sure what the confusion on the address is, but I think the pictures of the trailer are clear in terms of what we're trying to abate and remove. That is the vacant trailer that will be abated and removed. And it is the correct legal description regardless of which address is assigned and described.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Morris. Appreciate you pointing out the legal description is really what matters. And I may have made too big of a deal of the address. I just, as I thought about us, handling these first few, I just wanted to make sure we got it right. But I have to agree, I went out and looked at this structure. There's no reason why anyone should think that could be improved to the point that, someone should be living in it. So I agree, and would ask for a motion to approve on this one.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve from Commissioner Casal, second from Commissioner Garza. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Madrid, if I could have your vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Now, I have a question. What happens if there is people living in some of these homes, even though they look like they look? I mean, does that ever happen?
Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioner, so I did check with building safety.
Mr. Morris, I think we're having issues with the microphone. We can hear you, but I don't think it's loud enough for you to be heard somewhere else.
Is that better?
No?
How about now?
No?
Has IT said that we have a problem? No. Mr. Morris, carry on.
I can. Yeah, you can. So Commissioner, I did confirm with building safety that all of the four at issue this evening are vacant. He did say, he being Mr. Wilt indicated that on one of the properties, I believe it's the one on West Second Street, that there are some vagrants that occasionally stay there. However, in the future, if any of these properties are occupied, there is a different procedure that we have to go through the International Property Maintenance Code. What we're doing today is just for vacant structures.
Good question, Commissioner, and we are voting. Commissioner Madrid has already given me his yes, and the vote is 7-0, and the motion is carried. Moving on to item 4, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3072-2021 pertaining to a ruined, damaged, or dilapidated building and authorizing abatement by demolition of such building and debris within the city of Clovis. This time, 1601 West Second. Just like on the others, I went and saw 1601 West Second. I think perhaps others of you did as well. No question that this is a candidate for what we're considering here. This is the one, as Mr. Morris just mentioned, that it appears that from time to time there are people that are staying there, but they're not the owner or
Tenants, yeah.
tenants. It's folks that are kind of squatting there. So, which further speaks to why we should take action on this and make sure that we're getting rid of that unsafe building.
I move for approval.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Garza.
Second.
Second was from Commissioner Elliott. Commissioners, please vote. And Commissioner Madrid, if I could have your vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. By a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Last item in this section of the agenda is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3073-2021 pertaining to a ruined, damaged, or dilapidated building and authorizing abatement by demolition of such building and related debris within the city of Clovis. This one, Commissioners, is 2012 Chaparral. If you went by and had a look at that one, it is literally a pile of rubble.
Burnt.
It's, you need a front-end loader to go in there and scoop that up and get it out of there. This is a no-brainer. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Garza, second from Commissioner Casals. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Madrid, your vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. And by a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Thank you, Commissioners, and thank you, Mr. Morris, for the explanations on those. Nothing to deal with under unfinished business this evening, so we'll move on to new business, and we now have 4 items there. The first is request for approval to apply for and accept the Kaboom Community-Built Playgrounds Grant to construct a new playground at Green Acres Park. This one is kind of exciting. I'm happy to hear about this one. Ms. Burrows, are you going to advise on this?
Mayor Pro Tem Commissioners, actually, I'm going to defer to Mr. Hooper.
Mr. Hooper. Well, good deal. Mr. Hooper, thank you for being here, and we'll give you the floor. Our Parks Director.
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, appreciate the opportunity to come up here. A little background, we were contacted a couple months ago by the Kaboom coordinators, and they do a community-based program to build. They're asking for some upfront money from us that they will then leverage into grants and do some other things. Then they will coordinate back and forth. There'll be community-based design work on the people. Their qualifications are basically, they need 2,000 square foot of space that we own. We looked at Green Acres Park. There are 2 playgrounds there that are both in pretty bad shape, just age more than anything. So we've kind of picked one of those. It falls into the demographic area of what we need to fulfill their requirements, and we're just asking to go forward.
I think it's great, and this is the program where volunteers come out and,
Yes.
and assemble it, so it's kind of a canned
And
program.
I think all y'all's names have been added to that.
Oh, we're
list.
already on the,
Yes. There's a PowerPoint. Right, no.
you're good, Mr. Hooper. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Commissioners, comments or questions?
Just for the amount of money that is required, I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's a good deal. So I move for approval.
Second.
Great.
Second.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Garza, second from Commissioner Elliott. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Madrid, your vote, please.
Yes.
Thank you. And by a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Mr. Hooper, thank you for that.
Thank you all very much.
Next is request for approval to apply for and accept the 2021 Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity RAISE grant in the amount of $4,800,000 to improve Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard between 7th Street and 21st Street. Am I going to Mr. Howalt on this one?
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners, this one has been delegated to me.
Okay,
Awesome.
very good.
This actually used to be the old Tiger Grant underneath the FHWA programs at the federal level. And they've changed it to the Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity Grant. The project that we've put in for is Martin Luther King. Obviously, it's a project that we're actually at 95% design plans on, and we're ready to proceed and looking for construction dollars. We applied for SERPTO funding, the Transportation Project Fund, for our 7th Street project. And so we're hoping to receive funding for that project through the state of New Mexico. And so simply looking for another funding source for the Martin Luther King project. We had originally submitted for member delegation funds through Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez. And unfortunately, our project wasn't selected for that round, so we continue to seek additional funding for this particular project. As part of this grant application, it does require a 20% match, so the total project cost is around $6 million. The grant portion would potentially be $4.8 million, leaving us with that 20% of about $1.2 million. Early this evening, you obviously approved for us to move forward with our road bond project funds, and so those will generate around $3.2 to $3.5 million, $3.2 million to put into road projects. If we don't receive the funds for 7th Street, obviously they would be applied, the road bonds would go towards that project. If we do receive the funds for 7th Street, then those funds would be available for the match on this one. If we don't receive 7th Street funds through the state and have to use road bonds there, we'll certainly look for another funding source for that 20% match should we receive these monies through the federal government. But once again, we're asking for approval for you to allow us to make application for the RAISE grant, which is due July 12th, so this next month. So we'll get that put together. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, appreciate that, Mr. Howalt. And I think it's great that we're continuing to look for funding to work on MLK.
Yes.
Yes, I totally agree. This is something that I've been looking forward to, and I dearly, dearly want that road fixed. So I make a motion.
Second.
Mayor,
Okay, yes, Commissioner Madrid.
yes, I've been working on this road for 12 years, and I agree with Helen, we should go ahead and do it. We should go ahead and pass it.
Okay,
So since she already made the motion, I guess. I
Yes,
don't
we
know
got-
if I have a second yet or not, I didn't hear the second.
you can give us the second, Commissioner.
Okay, I second that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Commissioner Casals and a second from Commissioner Madrid. Commissioners, please vote. And by a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Thank you for that. On to item 3 under new business. It is request for approval to fund the shortfall of Beecham Field lighting at Potter Park. Mr. Jones.
Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, actually, Mr. Hooper did all the heavy lifting. He actually brought this down to a manageable size, money-wise, so he would be happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Well, appreciate that.
He does too.
Yeah, I can tell that he does. I feel like I know what this one is about, but could you brief us on this lighting at Beecham Field?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, appreciate the opportunity again to come up.
Yeah, nothing like being thrown under the bus by
Yeah, and I
Mr. Jones.
appreciate Brian's effort, and I will reciprocate at some point in the future. No, this started out, obviously, a year ago, basically, getting, putting in for state grant that we got a $100,000 funding for lighting the Beecham Field. We kind of knew in advance that we were going to be short. We've gone everywhere from trying to get quotes that started out around 200,000 and have worked our way down and kind of pieced some things together and found a manufacturer that would do for part of it, and then found a local contractor that actually came in under bid. And so now we're just short of the 130 range for the total project. So it actually has worked out pretty well, but I'm just requesting to transfer the money, and it would be coming from the Special Parks gross receipt tax, I believe. So just transfer it over there, and then hopefully we can get this started after sometime at the end of the summer.
Yeah, I'd like to see the lights installed. That'd be great for Potter Park and Beecham Field. This started, correct me if I'm wrong, with outlay from Representative Zamora. Was that right?
Yes, Mayor, that is correct.
Okay, all right. Very good. Appreciate that explanation. Mr. Hooper, any questions or comments, commissioners?
I have a question.
Okay, we have a motion to approve, but we have a question from Commissioner Casals.
It's more or less a problem that I have been receiving all week about Beecham Field. I know we need the lights. We've been asking for them for years, but I would like to invite the public to help us clean up Beecham Field. I've had a lot of complaints about the prairie dogs. We need to take care of that. The concession stand evidently needs painting, which we have volunteers, but we need the league to also get involved and help because it belongs to them, it belongs to the kids, so the parents really need to come out and help us. So if you want the field fixed, let us know and see when we can all get together and bring it up to par.
And we have addressed several of those concerns in-house and with Claire and with Justin both.
Right.
As far as we've gotten with building safety to discuss some of the field, because it's a problem that we can't just stop from our side on the prairie dogs
Right.
and some of these other things. Some of the others, we do need some community projects. We've talked about doing some events out there at the park for cleanups and other things. We're coming out of where we can actually talk to each other and be in person, and actually
Yes.
accomplish something.
Because I know it's for the kids, but the parents need to help us. So,
Yes,
parents, if you're hearing, call me, we'll set up a date.
yes, please.
Thank you.
Thanks for that.
And I'll second it.
Okay, motion to approve from Commissioner Garza, second from Commissioner Casals. Commissioners, please vote. And Commissioner Madrid, can I have your vote, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. And by a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Thank you, and thanks again, Mr. Hooper.
Thank you all very much.
Excited to see those lights out at Beecham Field. Item 4 is request for approval of adoption of the City of Clovis 2021 Strategic Planning Workshop Report. Ms. Burrows.
Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, thank you. So following your meeting virtually with Ms. Novak a couple of weeks ago, she's made the changes to the strategic plan, and the final report is before you this evening for action. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. Commissioners, if you've had a chance to look at that, we're all very familiar with the report. Any discussion?
And Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, following that meeting with Ms. Novak, what we'll do, if you decide to adopt this evening, we'll go ahead to the different areas and put a timeline on each one, and then bring it back to you. I mean, if you'd like to decide if you'd like to revisit it quarterly or every 6 months, or how you'd like to proceed, what direction you'd like to give us regarding that. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And those strategic priority areas for the public's benefit that may be tracking, and just as a reminder, Commissioners, good governance, easy for me to say, sorry about that, good governance, community life, that includes recreation, culture, neighborhoods, economic development, safe community, and transportation and infrastructure. So
Mayor.
Yes, Commissioner.
This is Fidel.
Yes.
I make a motion, we go ahead and approve.
Okay. Motion to approve from Commissioner Madrid. Thank you for that.
Second.
Second from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Commissioners, please vote. And by a vote of 7-0, the motion is carried. Thank you. Moving on to reports of boards, officers, and committees. One planned report there this evening, the monthly investment report from Ms. Melanson. Ms.
Good
Melanson.
evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. May 31st, our 11th month of the year. We started with 47.4 million and ended at 47.5 million in our cash. Brief overview, Fund 1, General Fund, 5.7 million ending cash. Fund 2, Solid Waste, 1.8 million. Environmental Tax Fund 6, 8.1 million. Wastewater Fund 10, 4.1 million. Economic Development Gross Receipts Fund 64, 3.3 million. Our Water Quarter Percent Gross Receipts, 5.2 million. Our Drainage Improvements Fund 88, 1.1 million. Our breakdown of our cash, we have 24.3 million in our local banks and 23.2 million in our state pool. Our monthly interest was 39,000, giving us a year-to-date of almost $80,000. And our our state pool is at 0.0636, so it is still going down. Mr. Howalt and I did have a discussion with one of our banks this week on potential investments, possibilities with our new investment ordinance that we're working on. So we will continue to work on that and hopefully provide some better information. The feds didn't give good information. They say don't expect any kind of great interest rates for the next 2 years, but we will do what we can to squeeze out every penny of our funds. And our gross receipts report did come in today. We are fortunate. The predicted 7% decrease for the switchover with the new TRD system, if it impacted us, we'll be looking really good next month. We were up 6% compared to last year and 3.65% compared to 2 years ago. So we have ended the fiscal year at about 11% above our budgeted gross receipts. So we are in a good economic position at this point in time.
Thank you for that report, and thank you for the work that you do, and thank you to city management and as well as you, Ms. Melanson, for leading us to be in good financial shape. And when we think about outperforming budget over the last 12 months, and if, we cringe when we think about the last 12 months, but it was a unprecedented and rough year, and thankful that we're in the shape we're in. Any comments or questions for Ms. Melanson?
Good job.
Good.
Thank you, Ms. Melanson. Appreciate that very much. Any other reports from you commissioners? Okay. I don't have any that I will go into this evening. I may have some reports next meeting. So we'll move on to announcement of date, time, and place of city board and commission meetings. I wanted to mention, commissioners, we have scheduled a study session for next Tuesday, the 22nd at 5:15 here in the North Annex. And the purpose of that study session is to provide you with information and give you the opportunity to ask questions about the discussions and the plans that have come out of the working committee that I've been a part of for some time now, and all having to do with water conservation and the discussions and plans around that. So please note, Tuesday, the 22nd at 5:15, we have a study session here. The Public Works Committee meets at 8:30 a.m. Wednesday, June 23rd, here in the North Annex. Senior Services Committee will meet at 3 p.m. Thursday, June 24th, here in the North Annex. Parks, Recreation, and Beautification Committee will meet at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, June 28th, here. I'm sorry?
The Parks and Recreation will be at Roy Walker.
Ah, okay. Parks and Recreation meeting will be at Roy Walker. Please make note of that. And our next city commission meeting is at 5:15 on Thursday, July 1st, here in the North Annex, as usual.
And Mayor,
Yes.
there'll be another study session on June the 30th at 5:15 with the Planning and Zoning Commission to discuss cannabis.
Thank you. I did know about that one. I failed to mention it. I appreciate you reminding us of that. And that'll be, you may have already received notification of that and an invitation to that, commissioners. With that, we are adjourned.